Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. We have a lot of materials to cover, so I am going to go ahead and get started. We're here today to talk about Mobilize Best Practices for GOTV or Get Out the Vote. Here's a little bit of an agenda for you. Oops, resume share. There we go. Here's a little bit of an agenda. We're going to be talking through an introduction, what we're talking about when we talk about GOTV, utilizing Mobilize for your GOTV program, talk about some new features this cycle. That'll come from my coworker Liz on our product team. We're going to do an FAQ from the Mobilize support inbox with our support manager Sam. And then we're going to spend a lot of time today answering any questions that you might have coming into this meeting or that might arise when we're talking through the best practices that we have to share today. So with any questions, feel free to drop it in the question and answer spot at the bottom of your or top of your screen, wherever it is. Feel free to drop them in now. And as we continue talking, all questions will be answered at the end of our presentation, but we're leaving a bunch of time so we can really dig in and talk through everything we have to make sure you're successful. So up first, some tips that we have. Actually, to back up a second, first, when we talk about GOTV, get out the vote, that can mean different things to different people. Typically, we're talking about the final few days before the election, maybe Saturday through Tuesday, November 8th. That also might include some weekends before that when you're doing dry runs. Generally, we're just talking about the time when it's all hands on deck and you really want to focus and hone your volunteer capacity to achieve your goals. So first tip, of course, making your events early. If you make your events early, that means that your supporters will have a place to go to sign up for the activities that you're hosting. Up next, create a single event for each GOTV location. This little bubble we have on the screen, Mobilize events have just one location. That's something to keep in mind. So when you're creating your Mobilize events, consider creating them per event or one event at least per event. And then from there, you can set it to recurring or every other day or whatever, however you're configuring your events. But keep in mind that it is just a single location for each Mobilize event. Next, ensure your focus is on GOTV events. So if you have any other events that have been created, consider moving any signups from those events to your GOTV events to make sure that it's all hands on deck. And if you have any of those signups, when you decide to take those events down on Mobilize, you can prompt Mobilize to send an automatic email letting the attendees know that the event has been canceled, and in that include a message saying exactly where you'd prefer them to be volunteering their time. Next, getting the word out to get out the votes. So once you have your events up and ready and early, you're going to start promoting your events via social media, email, and if you have a texting program, your texting program as well. Get in the habit is what we recommend. Get in the habit of including a Mobilize link everywhere that you can. It's a great way to make sure that your supporters start associating Mobilize with where they can go to find their next opportunity. We would recommend using tags. That's one feature that really comes in handy, especially during this time of year. So using tags to organize your events, Get Out the Vote is one that is very popular across people, across the events that we see on Mobilize and across the attendees that are signing up for events. Finally, for this slide, would recommend organizers share their personalized event link. When you're going on your Mobilize dashboard, there's a spot where you can share your link. If you grab that link and share it with your network, the information that you share that link will be stored down for any signups that come through. So if I shared this with Liz and then Liz signed up, I would on the dashboard see that I recruited this sign up. So really valuable to keep track of your recruitment methods and make sure that you are optimizing your time. Also in this little bubble on the left-hand side of my screen, you should definitely make sure to utilize your bring a friend feature. This can be toggled on or off for all of your Mobilize events. It is by default turned on, but we do see about 20% of signups across Mobilize come from the bring a friend link. And it's a really great way to expand your volunteer network too. Having people bring their family member or friend, that's someone that you might not be tapped into. So really great to expand your network. Up next, when we talk about Mobilize, we can't omit Van. Our Van integration is heavily used across Mobilize. And a few questions that we typically get this time of year. First up is, why is my event missing from Van? So I've created my Mobilize event, everything looks good, and I'm not seeing it over in Van. We've updated Mobilize to support you in solving these issues yourself, or getting to the bottom of these issues. If you're an admin on your account, the very bottom of your tabs on the left-hand side, you'll see stats. And then on the right-hand side of that page, you'll see the integration errors section highlighted here. This is a great place to go to understand why your event is not showing up in Van. There's a good number of reasons why that might not be happening. It might be a setting somewhere, either in Mobilize or in Van. So heading to this page, you'll be able to see the information and see the events affected by this. It might be an event that you might not yet have noticed isn't syncing over. So digging in here is really valuable. Next, how do I add more event types? Again, associated with our Van integration. When you're creating your event on Mobilize, you might see 1, 3, 5 event types that you can create. And Mobilize has over 20 event types that you can configure on Mobilize. However, we don't want you creating an event that isn't going to sync to Van. So the first step is configuring this Van settings page. If you can see on the left-hand side of your Mobilize dashboard, the Van settings tab that you can click into, then you have the correct permissions and you're an admin. If you don't see that, then we recommend getting in touch with an admin on your account. So from this Van settings page, you configure the additional event types that you're looking for, and that way you can create the events that are suited for your program. Finally, for this first section of our presentation, one other thing that we would recommend digging into is promotions. When we talk about promotions on Mobilize, that's the capability for your events to appear on another organization's Mobilize page, and also for your page to be filled with events created on another Mobilize account. So it allows you to collaborate with different organizations, and it also allows you to get your events in front of another audience. So to configure this, you'd head to your promotions tab, again, visible for admins. And if you'll head there, you can see some suggestions of organizations to promote. Maybe they operate in the same state as you, or might be associated in some other way. From that page, you can then ask the other organization to promote your events. If you do that, you are going to be sending an email to the admins automatically through Mobilize, and that is a great way to get in touch with them, request this, and then they can make the decision to enable that or not. Finally, from the promotions tab, you'll be able to fine tune your events that you're displaying. So you can filter these events by location or type to make your feed look exactly the way that you need it to look. All right. Up next, we're going to be hearing from my colleague, Liz Mullen, on our product team.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I know you're all probably really busy, so I appreciate you taking some time out to hear a little bit about preparing for GOTV using Mobilize. So I'm going to talk about some of the newer updates that we have added to the platform since the last big GOTV push in 2020. You may have seen some of these in the platform. These may be totally new to you, but I'm going to go over a couple that are coming soon, but most of them are just available in your dashboard for you to get started with today. Next slide, please. So the first big thing that we've added recently is making some updates to the add attendees modal. Now, this is something that you can access in the time slot details of your event. So if you go to an event that you're organizing, you can click on each individual shift to see attendees for that shift. You used to need to enter attendee information. So all of the information for that attendee in all fields every time you wanted to add somebody, but we added this search and autocomplete feature to make that a lot faster and hopefully save you a lot of time when you're signing people in at your events and when you're doing recruitment either on the phones or just with volunteers in person. So if you go to the add attendee button, you'll see this this example that's on the screen right now. You can type in the name, email, or phone number of the volunteer that you're trying to sign in. And if they have already signed up with your organization, then you can just select their name and it will automatically fill in all of their info. You can just do it in one click. So we did that to really help kind of like save you some time when you're using this feature. Next. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about is the volunteer schedule. This is a page that's always been available to volunteers. So they've always been able to go here to see some combination of events, but we've really made a bunch of updates to this in the last 2 years to make it more of a hub for volunteers to manage all of their actions and all of their kind of relationships to organizations on Mobilize. So in the volunteer schedule, people can now see their upcoming event. It's very prominent at the top of the page. They can find more events. There are a couple of carousels that give them suggestions for things to sign up for. They can see an impact summary, so they can see the number of organizations they've signed up with, the number of events and actions, their hours, and a couple of other things. And they can also manage their notification settings at the organization level. So they can see a list of organizations that they're affiliated with and manage some of their notifications that way. So the big thing that I think this will really help with leading into GOTV is it'll allow supporters to go to this page, see everything that they're signed up for the final month and especially the final 4 days. And they can also really easily join their virtual events from this page. So if you have volunteers who are asking questions about how to find the Zoom link or just details about the event, you can send them here and they can access it through the event notification emails that they receive from Mobilize. And they can also in the little menu bar at the top right hand corner of the screen, if they're on any page in Mobilize, they can access the schedule that way. So definitely a great place as kind of a catch-all to direct people to. And next, we have something that's coming soon. This will be available in the next couple of weeks, but we're adding a feature to make it easier for volunteers to sign up for all of the shifts in an event more easily. So hopefully this is going to be really useful for things like monthly meetings. And of course, those final GOTV weekends where you probably have multiple shifts that you're trying to get people to sign up for, and you want to make it as easy as possible for people to sign up for that in one click instead of each individual time slot. If you don't want to use this for an event, that's totally fine. It's configurable at the event level, so you can turn it on and off for each event. And another great thing about it is when people use this, they will get one email for all of those time slots that they sign up for. So if I selected all of these 41 shifts, I would get an email letting me know that I signed up for an event and X number of shifts associated with it. And next we have another thing that is going to be rolling out more widely soon, but is right now available as you can test it out as a beta tester. So we're starting to launch a Zapier integration, which I think will help a lot of people on this call automate some of the workflows that you take repeatedly. If you're unfamiliar with Zapier, it is a tool that allows you to connect to applications and send a specific type of data from one application to another. So another good or just important thing to know about Zapier is it's really easy to use. So anyone in your organization can use this. It's not just something that data directors or digital directors will need to tinker around with. Really, anybody can use it after they kind of get the hang of it. They also have a pretty reasonable pricing package. They offer a lot at the free tier. So if you're looking at this and thinking, I've never heard of Zapier before, rest assured that you will likely be able to at least test it out and kind of learn how to use it. But we've added some actions to the Zapier integration that you can use to send data from Mobilize to any compatible application. You can do that whenever a volunteer signs up for one of your events, when a new event is created in your Mobilize dashboard, or when a volunteer signs up for the first time. It's also important to note that there are thousands of applications that are compatible with Zapier, including things like Slack and Google Sheets that I'm sure a lot of the people on this call use daily. So a couple of examples of how you could actually use this. The first is when a new volunteer signs up, you could send that new volunteer an email via, say, an application like MailChimp. So when that volunteer signed up, it would automatically send their information to whatever email tool you're using and automate that workflow that you might be doing manually already. The next example is when a new volunteer hosted event is created, you could set up a Zap to post that information in the Slack channel to make sure that the event gets reviewed and approved. So there's tons of stuff that you can do here. If you're interested in testing this out, you can email our support team at support@mobilize.us, and they can kind of walk you through that process. And next, we have another feature that is going to be rolling out more widely pretty soon, but is now available for you to test in beta. So I think this is another thing that people on this call will be excited about. We've created a new setting on the event creation page where you can set up an event to be statewide. So this is something you can do for any virtual event. And the point of this feature is to really help surface events to all of the supporters in a state, rather than just the people who happen to be near that zip code. So the Mobilize feed is rank ordered by location. So if I'm sitting in DC, I would see events that are happening in DC before I would see events that are happening in California, for the most part. So we wanted to give you a way to market these events to everyone in a state, rather than just relying on the sorting to show those to people near the zip code. So when you turn this feature on for an event, the event will show up in a special carousel, and only people who are physically in that state will see the carousel. So if I'm located in New York, I would see this carousel with statewide events happening in New York. And the event will also give a more broad location. So it says down here, hosted from New York, instead of hosted from whatever city the zip code happened to be in. So I think, again, like if you're interested in this, you can reach out to our support team at support@mobilize.us, and they can set it up for you really easily. You can test it out and see if it's something that you want to use for GOTV. And finally, a great place to track all of our recent updates is our What's New page in the Mobilize Help Center. So there's a link at the bottom that you can go to, help.mobilize.us. And we just post everything that we release, whether it's a big change or something small. Great thing to kind of just visit once in a while to see what we're up to.
Hey, this is Samjit. I am the manager at Mobilize Support. I don't know why I can't turn on my camera. So unfortunately, you will continue to never actually get to meet me. But I see some familiar names here at the webinar. So I am happy we can, for the first time in 2 years, speak like this. So I'm going to be going over a few frequently asked questions that we have seen in our chat. Next slide, please. Don't worry about having to take notes or internalize any of this. I realize a lot of y'all are here as representatives for your very large teams. If you look on your right hand, that is a short link that will take you to our help page that contains these questions and of course the answers to them and more frequently asked questions. So to get started, how do I see who's coming to my event? Obviously, this is very important for admins, organizers, and volunteer hosts. So there's 2 ways, and both of them are on the event details page. You may be familiar with this. When you are on your dashboard, you can click into the name of the event that you want to see the signups for. Then you can scroll down to the bottom under shifts and signups, and just right next to shifts and signups, you will see a button that says export signups. Now, you may click this and then you wonder, where is my export? Where is the email that contains my export link? This is very common. If you have a customized domain, the very simple answer is like, occasionally, your IT administrators have installed a email blocking filter to help you protect you, but unfortunately, it does occasionally read Mobilize emails as being spam or phishing. So you will have to reach out to us to kind of look into it, because it could either unsubscribe you to our emails without notifying you. It could bounce our email to spam. Obviously, if it's not there, please reach out to support and we will do our best to direct you to next steps. Now, the other thing that we get a lot, especially during GOTV, I know what it's like, plans change. So the best way to delete a time slot is to enter edit view of the event that you want to edit, scroll to schedule, where all the time slots are, and then click the red X next to the times that you would like to remove. Now, we know mistakes happen, and unfortunately, time slots can't be restored on your end yet, but very simply, you can direct yourself or your team to reach out to support, and we will restore those time slots for you. Again, please refer to the link for these answers as well as many more. Next, please. All right, so for the duration of midterms, essentially to November 10th, Mobilize support will be operating from 10 to 10 Eastern time. Obviously, you can reach us via chat. It is when you are on a Mobilize dashboard. It is in the lower right-hand corner. You can just click it, and it will bring up something that looks like this animation on the right here. And you can either type directly into the box to get to the point of what you want us to help you with, or you can follow from the menu here. You can also just email us directly to support@mobilize.us. And many of you have seen me before. I've been here for a few years, but you may have not known that we have grown, and now I have the lovely Diana and Shuba to assist me in helping you. If there are any questions, we are here. Please ask, please utilize this resource. We are more than happy to help.